Friends from India, and happy morning to folks from US, Canada. I know there are a few joining from there as well. Uh, Usually we get also people from Singapore. I don't know this time they're there, but pleased to welcome you all to this very important prelude to the conference. This is a very highly important one by Dr. Gopal and Dr. Nithya, primarily because the education industry is undergoing a whole lot of digital transformation as well. While the various industries, including BFSI, telecom, media, you take any industry, it is undergoing digital transformation. If you take the education industry, we can't even imagine before COVID. If you talk of a professor doing teaching students over a Zoom or a video conference, that is the last thing they will do, right? Because I know many of them have said that that is not their preferred mode. They would like to have the classroom. They would like to have the students in front of them, and the interactions, the overview on what they are doing, how attentive they are, their body language. There are so many aspects in play. If once you're teaching, and in order to be effective, there are so many things which have to come together. So even that industry has been totally disrupted by digital COVID, and digital today. There are lots of pluses and minuses as well. But digital transformation has really been hastened by COVID. So we are navigating in a world of lot of uncertainties and opportunities. So if you look at digital transformation, there is a huge opportunity. So whereas if you look at the brick and mortar kind of operation, there is a lot of uncertainty. Even companies which have been slow to adopt digital, they're all getting out of the index. They are not relevant anymore, right, to the market. So that is the kind of so at SPIN Chennai, in order to provide a clear view on where we stand today on digital transformation and where are we going, we are planning the next big thing on digital transformation. September 24th is the international conference. This is going to be inaugurated by none other than the IT Minister, Mr. Manoj Tangaraj of Government of Tamil Nadu. He has accepted to be the chief guest and inaugurate the conference. So the digital transformation maturity, right? If you look at digital transformation, it is not about adopting some technologies and then getting away with it. That is not the digital transformation maturity. There is a scale, there is a ladder kind of thing, wherein you start from adopting or adding some technologies and then go over to the highest thing in terms of operating in a totally digital fashion. The entire process, entire service offering, the entire company, organization is all driven by digital, right? There is a difference between a digital native versus a digital adopter. So the companies which are being born today are really digital natives, right? They are so compatible with the digital. There are neo banks. There are so many companies which have come during COVID. They're all fully geared for digital. So the competitiveness in those companies are very high when compared to those who are just adding digital to their either to improve customer experience or improve operation processes or coming out with the new products and services. So it is a big game and all the more relevant because we want industry and academia always to come together, to be in tune. And that is like a unsolved problem for so many years. everybody keeps talking about it, but that never happens. But spin kind of organizations are really trying to bridge that gap. So that is where this conference become. The other important thing that that is planned out of this conference, mostly when you talk about great models, frameworks, they all come from the West, right? They all originated from the West. We simply be followers and implementers, right? So that is not the position we relish. We would like to. So by just being adapters and implementers, we cannot really outwit them. We cannot really be competitive. We can at the most be equal. We cannot really better them. So that is where we at SPIN steering committee, we debated on what should we be doing. How can we make a mark to the Indian industry and Indian economy. So our purpose through this conference is to bring awareness on the need for a India-centric digital transformation model, which takes into account various factors. If you take the rural-urban divide, the cost aspects of digital transformation. So in the West, they're all very geared for digital transformation because they have been continuously adopting those technologies. Whereas if you take our Indian context, there is a lot of catch-up to do. Even though on the telecom front, we have really leapfrogged. Our objective is also on the digital front. So, one of the examples I can give you is supply chain management today. If you look at as India, what is the cost or what is the spend on supply chain management? 14% of the GDP goes into supply chain management. That means effectively moving the goods from the factory to the customer, right? So if you're spending that much of cost, this is when compared to a global average, which is 8% of GDP, right? Which is the global average spending on supply chain management. So if you really analyze the difference, why? It is because we are not effectively utilizing digital. We are not utilizing IoT, we are not utilizing tracking technologies, we are not utilizing AI and ML. So a whole lot of things and also physically also locating the godowns and appropriate places. A whole lot of intelligence can come from digital transformation and associated technologies. So those kind of intelligence we are not bringing into play. As a result, we are losing out heavily. So in order to compete effectively and be the best with the Western world, so we need to adopt a India-centric digital transformation model, which will take into account various factors. So our objective is to create a special interest group, which will deliver this model, even continuing along with the conference. And over the next 6 months, the special interest group will discuss and debate and evolve this model, which will be like a easy to follow roadmap for Indian companies on the path of digital transformation. So that is the objective of this conference. So before we get to the speakers who have a whole lot of things to add, I have for example, Dr. TV Gopal. He's an eminent professor of Anna University. I think there are not many corporates or people working who will not know Dr. TV Gopal in Chennai. So he is so popular. He is the coordinator Center for Applied Research in Engg Technologies and a professor of Department of Computer Science at University for more than 25 years. He has authored several books. He has chaired so many international conferences, and he is one of the important things I have to acknowledge at this time is his contribution to SPIN Chennai in terms of active contributor with urging the students to attend these sessions, as well as in conducting those physical SPIN sessions at Anna University. Anna University Alumni Center has been the de facto center for us for conducting our monthly meetings for so many years in the last several years. So we have been very thankful to him. And he is an active participant in all the SPIN meetings, and he is definitely a great asset to have in Chennai. We are all proud of him and his achievements. Dr. Nithya is associated with Sona College of Technology as an associate professor in the Department of MBA. Her area of expertise includes quantitative techniques and business research. Further to the formal education in statistics and administration, she is also qualified UGC NET and SET management studies and UGC NET in NET in population studies. She has handled FDPs on various topics like business research, social science research, application of SPSS, people skills for managers, process assessment, quality assurance. On the research front, she has published papers in journals of international repute. She has co-authored 2 books on total quality management and quantitative methods. To her credit, she had completed 6 Sigma Green Belt certification from Benchmark Australia. At Sona, she coordinates the activities of the Center for Research and Publications, and she is the editor of the biannual journal, Global Management Review. So with this, we can't wait to hear both the professors, and this is going to be a very, very interesting session today. We are all keenly looking forward. I would like to invite first Dr. TV Gopal for his views on digital transformation and why is it important, why is it relevant to students in academia. Over to you, Dr. Gopal. Before that, let us all unmute and give him a big hand.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It is something that we need to understand, that the foundations of the way software engineering happened began in academic institutions. Today, as we progress towards the end of the talk, we'll come back to the point that software is going to drive, and I must thank Mr. Rajaram, Raghavendra Prasad, my good friend and co-speaker, Dr. Nithya, and a few other dignitaries like Dr. Ramola and my former principal of Osmania University College of Engineering has joined. So it is so nice to speak, and I must mention that the early days of SPIN Chennai were so nice. We could simply hop around organizations where there were QA talks nearby organizations. We were sharing plenty of slides. I keep using the slides made by eminent speakers who went on to make SPIN Chennai very vibrant with my students. So it's just that, we have a very close relationship, and Anna University has always been happy working with SPIN, mentoring the way the projects have to be done. It's an attempt that we have been making for quite some time on very many aspects. I have been fortunate to work with the pioneering efforts of many of these SPIN founders. That includes Mr. Rajaram. We know one another for quite some time, several years, 3 decades now. So without much ado, let me go ahead and then get on with the first slide. Yes, it's a set of Prelude talks, and as Mr. Rajaram said, the Honorable Minister for Information Technology is inaugurating the SPICON 2021, and in advance, I would greet him and welcome the delegates. It's a very important conference that Mr. Rajaram and SPIN have been organizing every year, and the Prelude talks are a focus on students and academia. And as I kept saying, software engineering thrived. The idea of software engineering before '67 was more vibrant in academic institutions. And as we progress, I wish to mention that today it's 20 years after September 11 attacks on the World Trade Center. And it's something, which I've been watching on the television on and off. The world leaders have been speaking on what is it that we can do. And our own Prime Minister was imploring people to look up to India centricism, where we taught how to manage many a crisis. Nearly 1,800 family members of victims, first responders and survivors of September 11 attacks are opposing US President Joseph Robinette Biden Jr.'s participation in memorial events, Joe Biden's participation in memorial events, unless he declassifies government documents that their content will show Saudi Arabian leaders supported the attacks. we have been attuned to noting what is called a life cycle. Ever after the software engineering got defined, one of the founding principles of the way we have been working with digital is the life cycle concept. What happens here in a digital transformation is the transform is aperiodic. It is something which we need to understand very carefully. Unlike what we want to see in a life cycle, a periodicity, transformation, the idea of transform is aperiodic. So we have been trying to tell that it is not that a life cycle of a set of documents and the way we built a reasoning chain across the documents is all that we need. We need something transformational, which makes it reasonably aperiodic and perhaps waits away. Oh, 6th August 2021, the NBC News has broadcast a small news item, which was mentioning that this is how we may have to address it. But anyway, for the present, there's a museum. The National September 11 Memorial and Museum includes digital historical memorial exhibitions, including artifacts, video footages, photographs, and recordings of first-person testimonials. Drawing more than is leading, and Accenture has been providing the leading edge technologies and infrastructure supporting the exhibits. It's in memoriam. It gives a clear idea that the entire exercise has a process behind it. It's nice to knit them together, different artifacts, video footages, to give a big picture that it is like this. It's something, it's a good museum that was there. And what we found was some critiques. Many critiques were there, but some of them which are very dominant, overtly simplistic and uncritical narrative, promoting an excessive sense of patriotism. So it's something which I question and exclaim, but the gist of several of the critiques that I have read on this museum, it has been drawing many visitors, 18 million visitors from 175 nations. It's not a joke to manage that museum, which has clearly indicated that you please come and see what is the connectionism that you can read in all these exercises. However, the critique is nice. The essence of the critiques, overly simplistic and uncritical narrative, promoting an excessive sense of patriotism. So that's where we need maturation. Maturing the digital transformation process, which is aperiodic, and we should be prepared for the next surprise. When is it going to come back? Life cycle has a predictability with which we have been managing, and we want to build that predictability. We may not have a sampling rate like what Nyquist has predicted, but then we are still able to have a sense of development that has a nice predictive nature. Otherwise, we won't venture. And that's where we say that digital transformation must happen, beginning with the academia. I wish to request all the people to focus on this idea of an aperiodicity in digital technologies. The case study was the 11th September to start with. It's not filling a pail, but lighting a fire. That's where we want to see the idea of digital. Following the leader or a lead case or anything that is in lead is a dangerous game. It's better to focus on building an organization and culture that can realize the strategy that's right for you. This is what we have been trying to do. As Mr. Rajaram was mentioning, adaptation, India centricism, adaptation. He's a good president of SPIN for quite some time, and it's good. We have been friends for 30 years. That's more valuable and more important for me. It can be hard to remember that digital revolution is still in its early days. We think there's so much of digital happening, but it's still early days. We are only seeing the gadgetry. But what is happening with that gadgetry, we have to come to grips with it sooner than later. And it's a generation that's very fast. Online, they edit photographs. Online, they combine photographs, all in a flash. Nothing needs to be stored. It is just a few buttons on the mobile phone and it happens. From 65 to 2012, the topple rate at which they lose leadership positions increased by almost 40%. Sorry, there's a typo in this. As digital technology ramped up competition, disrupted industries and forced businesses. It's a topple rate. It's not toppling game. They are being toppled and they are not really able to get to the bottom of it. It's a topple rate. Many things are difficult It's easy to go to the top position, but staying there is a question, it's a very big challenge. So what's the case of digital big corporations? Many of them are below average. Below average. A few of them are above average, emerging leaders, established leaders. The McKinsey DataQuest company survey, the established leaders are still hovering around 75% of the exercise, and 75% is a very generous estimate. What they have aimed at is so much, and what they are hovering around is 75% of that. This is what the top leaders who have taken to digital, matured it within, adapted early, and all that is just touching 75%. So we are still yet to come to grips with a vast majority of corporations. And how do we make it happen? We make it happen bottom up. That is from the academics, from the students who are going to be the future leaders. 3 questions that set the goals for digital strategy. Where will the most interesting digital opportunities and threats open up? In a transform, that is a period. We're not looking at cycle. How quickly and on what scale is the digital disruption likely to occur? What are the best responses to embrace these opportunities proactively and to reallocate resources away from the biggest threats? McKinsey specified 18 practices. We can come up with more. All these good practices, best practices, we have been looking at it. The caveat in best practices, even a slight deviation can make you hit the rock bottom. The idea of best practices is very good, but then it is not simply 2% of the best practice is what we talk. 1% slippage is rock bottom. Sparks from within, a smaller scale disruption of your own business model to enter a new space, fast following to right, aggressively reallocating resources, boosting the effectiveness of existing business models, capabilities at scale, dual-paced IT and agile culture, organization and talent. We need that fresh talent to change that culture, the organizational culture. It's just the new generation that are waking up faster to these surprises. Something crops up and they're able to take advantage of it. The 3 ages of digital transformation, understandably, it's a case where we have been talking about the age of ubiquitous transformation. That's the green band. It is still very close to hyper transformation and disruptive transformation. We are still hovering around the known terms. We have not completed a big chunk. It's something like, what we used to tell in good old days. Of course, Mr. Rajaram would know, Raghavendra Prasad would attest that whatever we do, only 33% of the software that we have developed can be called tested. 67% is just there. We'll have to venture, use it, become power users to understand what exactly is happening. It's safe. 33% is what that we are assuring in a big circle of transformation that is feasible, possible, envisaged. And with the existing investment, with the existing infrastructure, we are just looking at this kind of a footprint in 3 different ages. It took 3 ages of transformation. We began with disruptive, then hyper transformation. Existing technologies are there. Why don't we combine in some manner to make it better? Existing transformation is happening. Why can't we combine a few things? But then the goal is ubiquitousness. We are still not there. We're just covering a small percentage. So digitize information. That's where we began. That's where we really began. Organize information. Both are challenges, and till today we are bogged down on this. We are completely bogged down on it. And that's digitization. Digitalization is a computerization exercise. We are not really putting the man and the machine together to automate. We are only able to make something computerized. I know how to switch it on, collect something at the end of the exercise, and that repeats. The entire cycle designed on that idea of computerization. It's an easily palatable term, less confusing in this sequence. But what we are aiming, digital transformation. That's still a long way. Most of the organizations are at the low end of digital transformation, as the McKinsey report says, because the digitization exercise is keeping them bogged down. Data. It's almost a chasm of data. We have to find a way of building a bridge. Otherwise, everything is getting into that flow. And we keep saying that from that time to this time, a lot of water has flown. And we don't know what's happening now. From 6 months before to now, from pre-COVID to this COVID, a lot of water has flown. Where do we bridge? That's the background. There's a reason why I chose the background, but bridge is also a good idea. Digital transformation has fundamentally changed the role of software. It's the tip of the iceberg. 43% of breaches were caused by web applications. We are talking about ubiquitous connectivity. It's still not there. It's still not there. We want it, but still not there. Hardly 50% of the world is connected. Abstraction, there are countries where just 10% connectivity, less than 10%, single digit connectivity. Abstraction and componentization, hyperautomation of software delivery. That's existing pieces combined together. The impact of software security, security as code, that's at many levels, and compliance as code. The code itself is talking about it, and compliance as code. Machine learning, auto remediation, well, and then zero trust. That's the concern here. Now the trust level is zero, whereas we were quite good as in-person idea. We have to start building from there. I'm not planning to spend time reading it, but a very classical definition involves foundational restructuring of people. That is necessary. And where are the people built? In academia, in the schools, in the training houses, within in-house, in-person training within the organizations. We used to have those meetings, as I said. The QA team simply calls up for a lecture, and thanks to my good friends in the industry, I could just join an evening talk. PowerPoint presentations will come. We work together, we improvise, we share. That's how we built up the early days of SPIN Chennai. Operating model, I'm thankful to those nice ideas. Ram Kumar Ramachandran is also one of those who was there. Operating model, processes, data, Ellen Rajaram, Girish Sheshagiri. There's a nice culture we had for the improvement. Processes, data capabilities, and technology. That's how we talk about it. The four main areas: process transformation, business model transformation. Mr. Rajaram is much better. He's addressing so many things in SPICON. I've seen the SPICON program. It's a very, very wonderfully structured program, and I'm sure we will learn many more things. But right now, the process transformation, domain transformation, cultural and organizational transformation, I'm likely to touch first and fourth. The technologies, so many technologies, change and change impact, management, results and outcomes. We are now more towards outcomes. 4 dimensions to consider when developing a digital transformation strategy. The outcomes will happen. We won't know when they will happen. There's another reason why transform is a better idea, better term, which we need to grapple with. Company culture, that's the first thing that has to change. We need to be prepared for an aperiodic exercise. Things will happen, and the new generation is very fast. When something happens suddenly, they are very fast. They're very curious of this technology. There are 6 stages. This, we will automatically go ahead with business as usual, present and active, formalized, strategic, converged. All these slides will be available with the spin, and they have a way of looking at it. MITRE, which was, when I began interacting with it 20 years back, was the MIT Retired Engineers Corporation, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, retired engineers. I was working with one Dr. Edward Hausman on information architecture 20 years back. Now it's a corporation with so many employees, not-for-profit corporation committed to the public interest, operating federally funded R&D centers on behalf of US government sponsors. They have come up with this idea of assessing technical maturity. That may be a very viable first step. How mature we are, and it fits well with this idea. There's so many quality factors which we have been talking about in the space of technology, but there's nothing called maturity that is so nicely visible. We have been talking about so many ET factors, reliability, the way in which usability. There's so many ET factors, but maturity has been a tough nut until what somebody came up with the capability maturity model, which I had a very close relationship and work with. So we have been talking about a simple idea like new, improving. If we can identify where we are standing, it's a good idea. I like the way in which MITRE has come up with it. MITRE has also come up with an adversarial testing methodology for security, which is even more interesting. You can simply bombard with MITRE's adversarial test for security analysis on the code. Both are very interesting ideas. Software reality check. Since 62, Mariner 1 space probe, a bug in the flight software for Mariner 1 causes rocket to divert from its intended path to launch. Mission control destroys the rocket over Atlantic Ocean. 1982, Soviet gas pipeline burst. Airbus 322 by USS Vincennes was attributed to cryptic and misleading output displayed by the tracking software. 1988, it was shot down, Airbus 320. Several 1985-87 deaths of cancer patients. This is one which we use in the textbooks, classrooms. My good friends in the industry were so nice in dealing with this. Iraq 25, a radiation cancer control through radiation. It's an apparatus, it's an instrument. A lot of people were very interested. We used it as a very popular case study. We developed it and used it. The Mars Climate Orbiter crashed in September 1999. Silly mistake. 1 out of 5 IT projects are likely to bring full satisfaction. That's a very generous idea, even today. October 2006, the giant British food retailer Sainsbury had to write off so many US dollar 526 million investment in automated supply chain. We are not yet in automation because of these concerns. We are computerized. We are computerizing. Automation is still a bigger idea. Mariner bugs, I have said that. 293 seconds after liftoff, it was destroyed. Soviet gas leak 1982. Iraq, Ariane rocket goes boom in 1996. 500 million loss. Trilogy, the files, the documents. It was a very good idea. In 2005, the Federal Bureau of Investigation started a nice project called FBI, investing FBI trilogy. $105 million, still no effective case for a file solution. A lot of files were there. They said, the Bureau of Investigation will be able to collate, identify which files link together, which files connect together. So I see the truth and only the truth and nothing but the truth from the files, from the written documents. They scrapped the project. So we have been looking at this in the context of what I said, the documents, the criticism or the opposition which the current president, 46th president of the United States is facing from the survivors, saying that unless certain documents are properly dealt with, please do not venture on these annual ideas. So 19th year, World Trade Center got almost reconstructed, got a facelift. Toyota, 160,000 Prius calls were recalled from the market. Amid reports of vehicle warning lights, I do wish that Raghavendra Prasad remembers our interactions at Renault Nissan, where he was working in India. Now he's in Canada. Prasad is in Canada, Raghavendra Prasad. But these were the ideas. Amid reports of vehicle warning lights illuminating for no reason. That's exactly what happens on a two-wheeler today. The front light is always on. The moment you switch the engine, the front light is always on. We can't do anything about it. It's not a programming error, but it's a hardwired error. I don't see any reason why all these experiments on what is called the technologies that make vehicles happen get connected in some manner. 160,000 Prius cars recalled is not a simple idea. 40 causes to spread across all areas of software project management. What we are doing is we are simply stopping at customer acceptability. If the customer is okay, let's push it out. Are we responsible in this innovation when it is the transform? What's Humphrey succinctly put, saying that why does it seem that customers don't care about software quality? Because defective software works. It's very difficult when something is working to find out whether it's defective or not. Why will I think? Why will I think whether it's defective? As long as it works, it serves my purpose. And what am I doing? Just switching on, switching off. For that, why should I be concerned about it? Well, this is a very nice case study that has been happening. Cheated the UNC scandal, University of North Carolina. what is it that they have done is in 8-month investigation revealed that talented athletes coasted through classes, many without professors or class time, to keep them playing in the game. They were focusing on the game and they were winning. Athletics was going on very well, and it's an amateur ideal. But then it was all of them were on the field concentrating 24/7 to improve themselves. Parallelly, they were able to find that classes without professors, class time, no timetable is necessary, but all of them have also attended the classes. In theory, it's possible. The same group. I'm skipping over. It's an oversimplification of a very huge exercise in academia, brilliantly written. The language is so beautiful. You have to read this book, the UNC Scandal in College Ethics Amateur Ideal. We should read the original book. It's just discredited. That's all. They ended up ethically talking about discredited, and of course, a few people will have to burn out in the process. That's how the game is. In theory, it is possible. Practically, physically, in person, they are practicing. Athletes, parallelly, they got a degree. No professors, no timetable, no classes. Nobody attended, but still the degrees can come. This is what we have been saying, and let me just see why it got stuck here. Revisioning the software engineering test. Software is the only glue material across all disciplines today. After mathematics, the only technical idea that is connecting seemingly disparate disciplines is software. And without multiple disciplines coming together, we are not able to visualize the transformation which we once intended. They will have to come together, and software provides the best glue. We have tried in academics, ACM, IEEE curricula, as Mr. Rajaram was mentioning, it has been attempted. Industry, academia coming together, professional bodies coming together. Software engineering education conferences, the 32nd one in the series was in late 2020, 21 happened. The 33rd conference happened online. The 34th is in Hawaii. Then the third one came, it is announced. It's announced in Hawaii. After 34 conferences, each conferences gave us about 2-3 ideas to try. In our own academic context, adaptation of these ideas is very difficult. Great researchers who have done fantastic implementations, but adapting them into our context is becoming difficult. So every conference, every edition of this conference has wonderful proceedings. 2 to 3 ideas appear doable. All of us can sit down even now in this group. If we throw open the software links to these proceedings, by the end of the talk, we will come up with 2-3 ideas that are doable, which are in a collaborative mode. But how do they live? That's the question. Great ideas are there. IEEE standards books, difficult to read, difficult to work, and I had the pleasure and fortune of working on the IEEE software engineering body of knowledge since 2004. So we are identifying certain topics which are must for anybody who is getting into software. And just give me 1 minute. I need to find out how to go to the next slide. Yes, software engineering body of knowledge, working on engineering aspects. A lot of nice things, defined knowledge areas essential for software engineering. Full-fledged courseware for all knowledge areas. It's a good idea. Again, these are the knowledge areas for 3.0. 4.0, the exercise has just begun during the COVID-19. Dr. Hironori in Japan is soliciting a lot of expertise, contacting people, and I got introduced to our good IEEE India officers for this exercise based on the track record. Software requirements, software design, these 15 topics will form a program on SBBOC. But anyway, we have to work it out. Scientism, turning science into a god. Science isn't a person with supernatural powers. Scientific facts can change. Real facts cannot change. So we are looking at something, a technocrat, all knowing, all pervasive, all potent, everything. It's something like that. We can possibly think of constructing one in AI, but that's what we leave it to the realms of a different exercise. Right now, the vision is like this. Different systems, water, telecom, energy, transportation, electric power, they are all connectable. What is the glue here? The software. Software will connect. They are seemingly disparate, large systems, complex systems, but they can be connected. There is a connection. We can still see the software connections. So are we going back to those days of general systems theory, which really didn't take off, but we had control systems, we had the cybernetics, many things. And Professor Paul Pangaro is of the American Society of Cybernetics, is coming back to the new Macy conferences. 19th is the meeting that we are having. So it is something which we need to look at it. It is from the Carnegie Mellon University. From human life system, for example, input, food and oxygen, can we have a system that controls this entire exercise? Is there a general systems theory? Otherwise, we are simply looking at some connectivities which we are really hazy about and worried about the aperiodic nature of the intended transformation. So we want to prevent that chaos. We want to work in this field where a complex system will ensure that order is there. We are not slipping into chaos. When something slips, it's not a very major chaos. Yes, there's a hand up. I don't know how the questions are taken. I seem to be having a few more minutes. Can I complete the talk and take the hand up?
Yes, doctor.
Yeah, that's what is the exercise. Just a few minutes more, and I'll wind up the session. So what we are afraid of is chaos. In the process, what we have done is hyper regulation, not hyper automation. It is not what we are attempting at. Hyper regulation, where everything is so deterministic that even if we are losing flexibility, even if we are losing efficiency, we simply want to create a very rigid and deterministic order where, closing my eyes, I can tell that this is what is going to happen in this exercise. Nothing more, nothing else. That kind of a determinism is feasible when we are adopting life cycle models everywhere. Why only in software development? Life cycle is now an ubiquitous idea. So the life cycle became so deterministic that we are willing to sacrifice any flexibility, anything, but yes, it should have absolute predictability. If I switch it on here, only this tube light must glow and nothing else must glow. It should not have a side effect of telling that something else also gets activated just in case the tube light doesn't glow. That doesn't happen. It has to be exactly that purpose. One switch, one activity. The switch is on means one activity. That's the rigidity. In theory, if we can activate 2-3 things, I can press one button and actually it makes several things activated, saying that this may be needed, this may be needed. So from possibilities to probabilities, we have built good control systems to order. Things need not be that deterministic, and in a transformational idea, determinism is not going to take us far. But then where is this disruption? Where is this transformation going to be controlled? How do we know it is not going to border on chaos? That's the area of complex systems. And when we are talking about engineering disciplines coming in, I come from an engineering discipline. So my way of looking at the physical is stemming from an engineering dialogue with materials. That's how we look at it. But I'm sure many of the people who are in this talk are working with life, working with biology, working with many other complex structures. So the dialogue with materials is not the same dialogue with materials that an engineer enjoys calmly, quietly. It also speaks. So that's the case that I wish to make. And then I would leave it to how Dr. Nithya is trying to position it more exactly in the students and academia context. It's good that Dr. Nithya and I had a talk over telephone a few days back. We shared our slides. The core slides have been slide. I look forward to Dr. Nithya.
Yeah, before Nithya takes over, we'll see if there are any questions. Anybody has any comments, observations, interactions? I know Dr. Gopal brought out several important items. The difference between digitalization and digital transformation, and how the digital is still a matter of research in so many institutions. So anybody else? Anand?
Sir, I have one quick comment to make. Should I go ahead?
Yes, sir, please.
Please go ahead.
Sure. Dr. Gopal, thank you so much. It was a wonderful session. I think you stitched the knots on the digital aspect because we are currently in the situation of grappling with terminologies. It's imperative to uncover the terminologies, go a little deeper to really understand the context. I think this session definitely showing us the direction. Only one request. Interestingly, you also talked about SPICON, Software Engineering Body of Knowledge.
Yes.
I think that is very important. Maybe my request to you, Dr. Gopal, as you're closely working on that area, is like we have PMP certification, Project Management Body of Knowledge, PMBOK. I think for SPICON also, we should promote individual competency-based certifications to ingrain the concepts extremely well with the software professionals. That would be my request to Dr. Gopal.
True. We are attempting. Let's see. We tried. It is sort of COVID break on that idea. Yatindranath from IEEE is in Bangalore and he's active. I can put him through to you. We can see how best we can manage. Anna University, we took a COVID break.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Doctor.
Dr. G. Gopal, one question. This factor of digital transformation, what has been the focus of research in academic circles around this topic?
Yes. One good idea that has come out in academics is application integration. How do we integrate? The hyper automation is saying that, yeah, this is working, do something, put them together. We have taken away some drudgery. Say, for example, the file format itself was a big headache. This machine doesn't take other machines' file format. And we had serious concerns. Even in MTech, when I was an MTech student in Central University, Hyderabad, one machine was using ASCII, the other one was using EBC DIC. This is a 7-bit code, that's an 8-bit code. Now we have to write a special piece of software. All of us have to write it up to make sure that the code that we wrote, punched on this machine, will hopefully, without any special and spurious characters, be translatable and used into the ASCII machine. That's the kind of a drudgery which we had. From that to putting together different machines, what is called interoperability, which is the foundation. We should know how to make things interoperable first. Then we want to integrate. That integration will be over a span of time. They work seamlessly. It just disappears. That interoperability disappears. They're seamless. That just connects. So that's an idea which was catching on. Formalisms. The top two things that I think of formalisms. There is not much of a formalism. I cannot prove conclusively. Or the more I try in the software world to prove something, it will be depth of proof. Much like what it used to happen in the field of mathematics, we can keep on arguing to some publication 300 years back. And in the process, the proof dies. So we should be very careful in making sure that we'll be real time on establishing certain things. How to do that? It's a big question mark. The third one, putting man and machine together, has seldom been easy, even without software, even in the original world of industrial revolution, putting them together has seldom been easy. And what we called is digitalization is just in the nascency called computerization. We are putting them onto the computer. It is still a long way off, man and machine, how much man, how much machine, top three. Those are the top three that I think of.
See, in terms of, one of the complaints are the gaps is that Indian research has never been exemplary or world beating. Why can't, with the digital being our real core and backbone, can we expect some pioneering research from the academia in this area, which is at world level, world class?
Yes, we cannot rule out the possibility that there is world-class research happening, but it will never be couched as something that we can use just tomorrow. A 7 years of work, quote unquote, in a research mode is very, very unlikely to be packaged in a manner where once it is out and said that it is now a thesis that is accepted, it doesn't appeal that it can go straight away into usage. It's an institution that has a research process. We need to protect both science as well as a scientist, a research as well as a researcher. So 7 years taking the grind of so much of collaboration, so many interactions, and once it is in the form of a thesis, I doubt if it is just appearing as just go ahead and use it tomorrow. It needs, it's done like that, our process is like that. So it needs more tempering after that. And that's something where we need a what is called a support, a larger institutional infrastructure, which has to make it acceptable in a typical society.
See, what this means is, this has the danger of, our intellectual thought leadership lying in bounded, volumes, rather than implementable, products and solutions. If we are traversing that path,
let me put it like this.
Yeah.
I hope I'm also eagerly waiting for Dr. Nithya's lecture. One very quick point. When we were really studying computer science, when it was beginning to happen in India, we were all aware that Bell Systems Technical Journal was a Bible. They were simply doing research and putting them in bound volumes. Nobody knew where they will be used. I'm talking about 70s. They were never stocked in typical libraries. They were all in the industry. We had to go to an industry. Similarly, IBM R&D journal, 2 journals to cite. They were all there. Even today, if we think that we are getting a great idea in systems, very high chance that somewhere in one of those 2 journals, we have that idea as a founded, seeded. It is just there. IBM was spending 40% of its revenues on R&D. The business models have changed. The world has flattened. And that doesn't simply mean that our vision has gone so far that we are seeing the other edge from here. It's not simply like a cricket field now, even though the world is flat. The fellow who is calling the shots is not likely to see the long leg or a third man as they see. So therefore, it's not the case of fear of the unseen, but it's unimaginable. We have not yet stretched that imagination to that point. So we still want a stockpile of ideas to be there. We have early inductions. What we have matured, like what we tried with spin. Several of my senior professors were also coming in occasionally, going on, you are aware of it. We were simply having some discussions. Some interactions were possible in that small area of physical space. Anna University was happy to give some provisions of infrastructure, neutral ground. We had some good discussions, but how do we sustain?
Yeah, see, I can go on and on. For example, one thing I would say is you as a professor who has been closely involved with spin and the industry, but you see a large majority of academia, they're still not connected with the industry for whatever reason, right? So how do we ensure that more and more of this connection happens, and the ideas, the intellectual thought leadership is all translated into implementable actions, ideas, and unless you connect and make it relevant. So that is a larger question. Maybe we can have it towards the end.
And Nithya will also join after Dr. Nithya will also join after her talk, and then we'll make it more
definitely.
clear.
Sure.
Yeah.
Over to you, Dr. Nithya.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So,
can I stop sharing?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So you put me in challenge because, your presentation was awesome, sir, and it's highly technical. but I'm happy that I've taken a diversion. So I am from the perspective of academia. What is the stage of digital transformation in terms of academia and their functions, and what can they do, and what can be the roadmap? So I think I'm saved in this ground. And to touch upon the first fact, I think my screen is visible, sir. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So, of course, I would always, in the recent presentation, I always thank COVID lockdown, because in academia, this COVID lockdown has made us to transform digitally as an imperative model, whether it is a class or a classroom assessment, preparation, learning, teaching, everything is happening online and is completely digitalized in terms of academic process as such. And I would owe the credit to the factor called COVID lockdown. And in this phase, we should accept in academic process and academic operations, there are few things has transformed digitally. Say, for example, the application process, seeking information on academic operations and administration, all that is almost now made digital. But then providing multiple options or providing an array of online learning options is still a doubt. So that can be a bigger gap where the digital transformation has to look upon in terms of educational operations. So in terms of education management, this learning operation or learning channel can be still increased. That is the first thing. And second one, the intervention protocol is very, very less in terms of digital transformation or digital processing of education administration. It is always either one way, or it is like I would put it and then I will receive a feedback on a particular time period. There is no instant or there is no immediate feedback or reply like we get from AI chatbot, all that on a industry mode. So to start up with digital transformation education sector, yeah, we have started slowly, and then via mobile app, web app, it is all in usage in terms of admissions and information seeking. And the online classes can also be added to this, but then there is a big gap in terms of variety of learning options, and then the quick interactive and digital intervention in terms of in the teaching learning process as such. So these 2 points, point number 2 and 3, I think we have a bigger gap to fill it up in the future days. And this is one slide which I always talking to my student, because this is something like a business model or a business canvas open for anybody or any institute who are in the field of education management. So to start off with, we have the 5 growth opportunities in digital education. Any institute who are offering an education or a kind of a diploma or whatsoever, what kind of education it is, they can extend to a business model like given here. So this is from CSR Europe, which is a research done with the companies, and it was projected that first one, augmented and virtual reality. In terms of education industry and education sector, there is no augmented, or AR and VR being implemented in process. We do teach them, we say, how about, what about, but in the functioning, say if it is a mechanical thing or a motor vehicle, we can implement AR and VR and make the student feel the functioning of any techniques or technology for that matter. So having said the education knowledge imparting process, if we add AR and VR in terms of application and feel, it would be really adding a more value for the knowledge, and that can also make the student a better workforce in the future. That is what the first thing. And the source says that there is a scope for 14 billion euro in the year 2025, which is being projected. And the second important thing, as Sir Saitli mentioned, the disruptions. There are a lot of disruptions in terms of workforce because of automation, and then AI, all machine is doing a lot of jobs. So that can be a, scarce of, more people can be removed from the man role, the manual role. So in that gap can be filled by retraining them or enhancing their skill. And that can also be very good opportunity for the education sector to improvise their process. And in a way, it can also be another business model and that is expected to be a 27 billion euro project in the year 2025 again. And I think Gopal sir would really accept to me, like, the MOOCs, the online program, certification program, MOOC programs, all that is it's a trend in academic arena now. And like it became, we should do few courses, and there is a lot of plethora of opportunity to choose your own interest, subjects, all that. So having a teaching learning process as a core business of any educational institute, they can extend to provide MOOCs as a online open course with their own existing resources. And that would also help them to get into a great model in the future, and which is estimated for, predicted for around 37 billion euros in the year 2025. And even our institution have invested people and time in terms of developing MOOC courses, and jointly with few other Western universities, and we are expecting a good amount of registrations and also some collaborative works in the future. So being a organization in education management, this is quite easier to step next level for any education institute. And then the fourth one is personalized learning. See, we all work on a synchronous learning where a model is fitting for all. But definitely a classroom with a bunch of people would not be having a common crowd of common receiving or a knowledge basis. So this personalized learning can be a significant development for the educational institute to proceed further, so that there can be a module that is set for an above average student. There can be a model that is set for an average student, so that we will be able to bridge the gap in the learning outcome. And the last one is digital school services. So this digital school services, we invest a lot of time and effort in making the teaching, learning and preparation. Teaching preparation is a lot amount of time is being taken in that. And if that can be documented very properly, formally, with all copyright, all the things, that can be an excellent content service. So these 5 areas can be a good area for the educational institute to focus upon digital transformation in their educational sector, and that can also be a business model in their future, and which will be a win-win opportunity for both for the faculty and the institute. And in terms of educational institution, there are 3 areas that can be identified for immediate implementation or the immediate absorption of digital transformation. In this case, I think I need to minimize the. Okay. So the first one is transformation, digital transformation in campus environment. There is a big amount of gap. We can see extreme polarity cases in this digital transformation processes in campus environment. Very few institutes have digitally operating campus management or campus administration, like digital attendances. And then still AR and VR lab is still in process. We couldn't say most of the institutions are having AR, VR lab, but library is most of the cases, it has been digitalized. But then coming to the lab, we have still gap to be filled with. And then the third important thing is the anomaly detection. We face the classroom group in common measuring scale. But then when we have a model which would be able to identify the outliers or students who are in different or in a deviating performance, that would be helping the teacher to quickly understand the need of the student and give them what he is expecting or what she is expecting in the classroom. So these 3 can be addressed. Of course, first one is second one is partially addressed, but otherwise all the 3 can be well addressed. And then this can help the faculty team also in reducing the non-value adding, like in documentation, recording, filing, all that would be a time that can be spent on some productive activities. And coming to the second phase, transformation, digital transformation in learning methodologies. I would say in the perspective of educational institution, the first and foremost target was given only on the learning methodology and teaching methodology. And this LMS, learning management system like Moodle, Blackboard, video conferencing, all these are almost all set in all the institutions across the state. And then this is the, as I told you in the beginning, because of the difficult time, we were made to use it. We were made to use what we were having. Initially, we had Blackboard in our institution. That time, the usage was comparatively less. But then now, when we understand, the usage has tremendously improved, because we got used to it, and then we understood the benefit of it. Now, even when we have an offline class, we tend to use, and the documentation is all made easy. There is quite a lot amount of time being saved in terms of administrative and documentation work. So in terms of, a transformation learning methods, the first point, the learning platform is almost partially or above average scale we have accomplished as an educational institute. But then coming to the AR, VR adoption for learning experience, it is still in the consideration. And adaptive learning. So in case of adaptive learning, if it is an offline program, of course, we are there to give them the feedback, give them what the student is expecting. If it is an online program, there is no data live sharing of information or a teaching learning happening. So if we have anything like adaptive learning as a system, if any institute can turn up into adaptive learning for the teaching learning process, I think that would enhance the overall teaching learning process as such, and which as a result would also help the student in a better learning in outcomes. And then fourth one is AI and chatbot. I think as an education institute, AI and chatbot would definitely be supportive for adaptive learning, and also will also help in enhancing the soft skills of the student. Generally, we always focus on student, his outcome, and then his employability skill, all that. There are students who hesitate to come forward in the classroom, in a common classroom, but then I understand a few students who don't talk in the classroom have a very good questions being typed in the text chat box. So if there is a well-planned system of AI and chatbots being implemented for learning methods, that would really enhance the teaching learning process. Also, the students' interaction ability, which would enhance the employability of the student as such, which is the ultimate outcome of any collegiate learning. And having said about campus environment and learning methods, I should definitely touch upon the teaching method. We have reached the art of infrastructure of smart class, but then AI driven online assessment and then AI based analysis of students, that is still in a mid stage. Because of the difficult times, we now use remote proctoring, and we understand there are institutes who are using actually a proctor software to conduct their examination, but then most of the institutes simply just go with the CAM, just by the viewing them through the CAM. But then the proctoring would be a better assessment tool to understand the students' evaluation pattern. Again, that is also one area where the education institute can think of digital transformation. And then this AI driven online assessment, we are using the Blackboard. In that case, we have the inbuilt plagiarism software which assess the students' assignments, all that, which is really adding value for the teacher and also the student to understand where the student is getting deviated, all that. But since the analysis of students, we are not able to convert that 100%, we need more of human intervention in that. But if that can also be made digitally possible, that would be a great transformation for the academia, and which would make the people spend most of the time or their available time in terms of research and other value adding works. And once I tried this AI based analysis for the students assignment using the keywords. Say if I throw some 10 to 15 keywords for one page assignment, if the student match up 6 to 7 keywords, the assignment of the student should be really worthy. And I tend to spend some time, some 5 minutes to, some 1 hour or 2 hours in testing some 5 students, and that really worked. So whatever keywords that we are discussing in the classroom, whatever keywords that we are telling in the classroom, and whatever critical illustrations that we are sharing in the classroom is well received by the student, and that is also well matched by the the sentiment analysis, all that. But then we can't do the programming for each and every one, but if that can be made as a available software or any digital tool to assess the students' performance, that would be excellent. And I think these 4 areas would be the area of focus for Education Institute to make sure that teaching methods are well digitally, structured. And this is one small survey which was done amidst 554 professionals from different brands and consulting firms, and this tells what are the major drivers of the digital transformation. Though it is done in 2019, I think this would still hold. And currently, my research is running on this factors driving digital transformation in Indian scenario. Maybe soon after the data collection, I would share the result in our own forum. So when we understand, definitely the growth opportunities in the new markets is a main force, which is driving the any industry for that matter to move digital. But then when we focus on the education sector, the first one is definitely the growth opportunities and the regulatory and compliances. So there are regulatory compliances because we need paper for submission, we need paper for audit. All that is other factors which is slowly pulling out of this. So when we have the regulation being very basically being derived, I think academia can focus much clear goals for setting up a digital transformation process as such. But definitely there won't be any decline in the performance of academic process as such, because each and every operation of the academic process, or each and every small activity of a teaching learning process is enhanced, is developed, and it is giving accurate results because of implementation of digital transformation in academia for that matter. I'm just focusing on the education sector as such. So I'm just doing a research on the drivers, factors influencing digital transformation for education industry. So waiting for the results. I will also share the same to the forum in the later period. And I think when we have a clarity on what are the driving forces, what are the factors that is influencing to go digital, that would help the institute to focus on their investments, to focus on their roadmap, so that they can start with a well-laid road and reach their target at an early stage, also at an optimum level of expenditure. So if any education sector, having discussed about the importance of digital transformation to the education sector, if any educational institute has to go for the conversion or the digital transformation, first and foremost thing, I think they have to think of the areas where they need to go digital. Are they going on campus transformation, or are they going on teaching methodology, or in the assessment, whatever? What is their area of implementation? That has to be very clearly laid. And then it has to be connected to the tomorrow's digital world, because anything converting to digital, it involves a lot of time and money, and especially for a process like educational teaching and learning, which is well aligned with the protocol of the university and the AICTE norms, that has to be thought in a longer run, and it has to be definitely automated to understand and save time and money. And definitely, no doubt, digital transformation in education sector would pave way for a new business model for any institute for that matter. They can open a certification program, they can offer a MOOC course, they can even jointly work on certification courses with corporates. So this is something really very good point for the educational sector to think of going digital in their own operations. And the last point is, obviously it has to be simple, feasible, and it would be on a common platform of operations without disturbing or without making any big changes in the normal plan of having educational processes as such. And as Sir has given a hint on the different types of transformation, even I wanted to just give a small gist on this. The first one is the process transformation. So I couldn't stop telling this, because generally we work on this commercial and easy to understand for our students. So having taken this Domino's, people jokingly say Domino's has dared to open a store in Pisa in the Italy, which is known for pizza. So this timeline, 2008 to 2020, what is the kind of process transformation Domino's has made? So we all know Domino's was lagging behind Pizza Hut, but then in the recent trend, Domino's has well, made the competition good for their own self, and it is really making a very good profit in terms of the business, and hitting a hard on their own competitor Pizza Hut. So initially, the first move which was done by the Domino's is a process transformation of the pizza tracker, where we were able to track where is the pizza and how easily they reach our point of order. And second one came the Domino's iPhone application, and this 2011 process transformation on iPhone application has driven more number of orders, and they say there is a significant amount of order increased after this iPhone application, and followed by which 2015 they launched their order of Domino's Anywhere. So the order can be placed through any mode of communication. It can be through Siri, it can be through TV, Slack, or Messenger. So that is another big jump in the sales when they made this. They launched this. Model of placing order. And 2016, it was a news in almost all the papers and all the news headlines that the pizza was delivered through drone. Manless delivery of pizza, and that was a huge hit. And recently, Domino's car side delivery service, which is the effect of Corona and COVID effect. There is no point of interaction of human in terms of delivery. Wherever your vehicle is there, the delivery would be made to that vehicle, and this was again a huge hit. So no, Domino's have not faced any drop in their business because of these process transformation that they have taken up. So similar to this, even education institution has to make can think of process transformation. Teaching learning is a process. Yeah, I do agree. But then how to make this teaching learning as a process very useful, interesting, and then beneficial to the student. People say this Corona lockdown, or this online media is connecting anyone, everyone across the globe. But then students, as always students, be getting connected to them maybe in late evening or in Sundays, it's really difficult. So how to make it very interesting? When there is a problem, we need to seek up a solution. So how to make them come and join this, and how to make the process still more interesting, how to make them involved, that can be a point of thought for the Education Institute, if at all Education Institute is looking for a process transformation in terms of their digital shift. So having said about process transformation, I want to mention about the Netflix. Again, nobody, I would always say among our students, it became, another name of them. It is Alliance category. So their reinvention of business model supporting almost 2,200 devices across globe. It's a huge business model without any owning anything of their own self. The only thing is partnership. Their key partnership made the whole lot of business, and then this business canvas would tell what they are doing, to whom they are working with, what are their resources, all that. So Netflix, though they are reaching the each and every hands or each and every house, but still they are making it hard to control their profit share because of the high cost structure. The high cost structure they are working on, because they have to license with a lot of anything disturbing, sir?
Those who are not speaking, please.
Okay, sir. Okay. Yes, sir. Sorry, sir. So this cost structure, because they are in agreement with so many sources of videos, so many sources of serials, all that is really a challenging for them. But even then, their business model is a super hit in the recent times. So I would always tell this Netflix as an excellent business model transformation. Again, similar to this Netflix, I'm just seeing this MOOC courses, online education program, and then a collaborative program as a new business model for education institutes. So education institute can really look for business model transformation, because they have all the resources being set. They have the faculty member, they have the content, they have the platform to set across, share across the materials. So definitely research, education systems can look for business model transformation as they are shift in the, or as they are focused in the digital transformation. And then, the well-known, whenever I see this A to Z smiley, I remember is books, and then later we have all the items being purchased over, the online web portal. But then now AWS, Amazon Web Service, is something like an online mega retailer. This Amazon Web Services is largest cloud computing infrastructure, which is formerly owned by the giants like IBM, Microsoft. The amount of transactions, the amount of the point of transactions that they are doing is huge compared to the financial services for that matter. So this domain transformation, starting from a bookstore and then to a material FMCGs and then provisions and whatnot in Amazon. Now this Amazon Web Service is a huge hit for them, and that has a very big share in their own portfolio. Similar to this domain transformation, I think Education Institute can bring a kind of shift in terms of changing their domain, or in terms of converting their domain with whatever resources they are relying with. So it can make maybe education more than making a program centric or course centric. The program can be made student centric. And instead of going for a hybrid urban, it can be even complete online course can also be provided, and that is now happening. So it is almost, there are universities, Western universities offering online courses, online programs, online degree even, but then in Indian scenario, that is very, very less in number. And then the agility to change, the agility to make changes, since we affiliate to universities, affiliate to a lot of UGC bodies, this agility is limited. So the options of making the agile transformation, or the options of adapting to the change can be looked upon by the Education Institute, if at all they are focusing on domain transformation. And obviously anything in terms of domain transformation cannot happen without innovativeness and thinking out of box. So similar to this Amazon's shift in domain transformation, I think even Education Institute can look for what kind of transformation can they do in terms of domain specific factors and areas. And lastly, the cultural and organization transformation. One thing which I have not mentioned here is really we people have to work or have to think a lot, do a research on how to make this online teaching learning a successful model, how to make the student enjoy the online learning, how to make the student get interested, pulling the crowd for this session. Like they should feel the easiness and the comfort of being online. So that is one thing which I have not put it in the paper, but it's always there in the mind, almost traveling with this 1 to 2 years of online teaching learning process. So having said this, I cannot leave without quoting the example of Experian, the consumer credit agency, which has made their foot in terms of changing the organization culture. So completely changing from an ordinary computer architecture to cloud. It involved a lot of changes in terms of training, in terms of organization culture, all that. And Barry Levinson, the global CIO of Experian, have mentioned that as a keystone change in the Experian's change of digital transformation. And for the amount of data that they were dealing, and shifting from their own architecture to the cloud was a great decision, and that paid them. So changing the culture, changing the organization really matters. And that cognitive and the behavioral change really adds value to the digital transformation. And in terms of, in a very lighter sense, even engagement, student engagement in online education system is a point of consideration to make the teaching learning process successful. So I have mentioned on four transformations, and I'm just leaving the sessions with the last point, that is, if at all Education Institute is going for digital transformation in future, what can be their point of, or what can be their points to see in their roadmap? First one, definitely, what is their current digital intervention? Are they completely digitally strong, or they are partially, or what are their area of digital intervention they have? They should really know. And then what are the opportunities? Where can they adapt digital technologies? Can they adapt in the learning, or can they adapt in the teaching, or can they adapt in assessment? Whatever they can adapt, that opportunities has to be sought out. And what kind of change they are working for. So what do we need to change in their process? Again, when they seek the opportunity, definitely they may have a lot of opportunities, and they can go on prioritization, what exactly they need to change. So once they decide the keystone change, this is what I need to change, then they have to lay a roadmap. And having laid the roadmap, what are the factors that influence, that may implement the change mechanism, that can be identified, so that it would be easy to work on digital transformation for any education institute of any country or any place. So with this small information, all that I focused was on, as an educational, as a faculty, as a person from education institute, digital transformation is really very close to us. It is very supportive to us, and definitely this would take the education sector to next level. And very importantly, it would provide an excellent workforce for the organization in future. So with this small and simple concept, I'm just concluding my presentation, and thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for patient listening.
Thank you, Dr. Nithya. I think that was very nicely covered. The education sector, what is happening, what are the needs, and where are you? What are the technologies that are available around digital for education sector? What are the opportunities? Very, very beautifully stitched together and covered very well.
Thank you, sir.
So already Dr. Sharath Kulkarni has asked a question: how much digital transformation is useful in dissemination of knowledge of theoretical subjects? See, there are so many theoretical subjects. How do we make it more interesting?
So exactly that would meet the basic learning process itself. Say, for example, I'm telling how the four-stroke difference between a two-stroke and four-stroke engine, and what is the aligning of the handling of machine, all that. If we use AR and VR, we don't want to say anything. So we say a picture speaks 1,000 words, and we say a video gives more, still more, information. So when I feel the process, when I feel the knowledge, I don't want to say anything. They would automatically understand. That would create a spark in them.
Yeah, maybe when Dr. Sharath Kulkarni, you can unmute and say what type of theoretical subjects you are meaning, because automobile and things like that, people are able to relate to slightly better. Whereas, there may be some subjects he has in mind, where he feels, something outside of this can be done, right? Dr. Sharath, you can unmute and share your thoughts. In the meantime, I would like to encourage all the others also to take part.
Just to add a twist, however theoretical it may sound, the young minds take visual cues which make the theory cemented. So what is it that we can think of as a substitute for that? Students are quite sharp, they're quite observing, and that visual cueing lends a sort of a realism and a groundable idea in what we call theory.
Dr. Nithya,
Yes.
there is beautifully you have articulated what could be the levels we can make with the technology in the education. I think you have almost covered whatever technologies or even emergency, these emerging technology also you are included. I want to understand your thought process. Unlike in the other organization, when you make the digital transformation, that endpoint will be the existing platform, technological platform. Other organizations can utilize. It may be mobile, it may be a laptop, any gadgets. But coming to the education is going to upbring the next generation. So when you talk about the education, it is not only a college level. Now today we are seeing that UKG, LKG, everybody is sitting in front of your laptop, mobile and all. But what is your thought process? Even giving some this kind of a laptop, all these things, which is otherwise having many risks included. There are things which can segment of citizens can access. There are things segment of adults can only use, like bank apps, in case it's the laptop or in case the apps. Those things are, we are exposing everything to the kid. Don't you? I mean, what's your thought process? The digital transportation should have a specified, a special devices like Kindle or something. I mean, that's what I'm looking. How do you? What is your thought process?
Sir, definitely, I completely agree to you. I don't mean a common platform. It has to be customized, run, controlled, secured by the institute. Let's say, for example, Blackboard is a LMS software that is run by the institute. The stakeholders of the institute can use that platform for their own role play or for their, we have on a video recording, and then even we can have a discussion on the recorded videos also. But anything on public would not make transformation of an individual entity. So when a college is going for transformation, the college has to invest in making a platform so that they can make use of that platform for its own stakeholders alone.
No, that's fantastic. But how about the recipient in hands? But when you're talking about these kids in the world, see, now you know the poverty level, you are the normal income level. So now what we are facing, all private college students, now you can see these education bias also comes up, because all private school, well played, these kids, they have the access to the education. But when you talk about the government school, they don't have, because they don't have that proper infrastructure in place. And just my concern in education, when you talk about the digital transformation, because your digital fluency and digital culture, when it will be complete, if you have segmented oriented approaches, not only for transferring the existing manual thing to the digital, but also this kind of the infrastructure provision.
Yes, sir, I agree. Definitely digital transformation is possible only on a said platform. Maybe say institution can have a basic infrastructure to roll out the plan. As you said, in terms of government and public sectors, we don't have that amount of, so in that teacher can elevate the role. Teacher can make a difference in teaching methods, or teacher can use a different teaching method and then engage the student. But there the digital transformation would be in teaching preparation, not in teaching learning process. So the ownership from the teacher can be adopted, and she or he can take an extra effort to make the student understand it in a better way, because we can use the existing platform or existing digital group, and then we can make the teaching different.
Okay. See, I would just try to keep this discussion more close to the ground. There were days when we were planning to teach. Now we may not, but what is called, the Word, Excel, and a database like Access, a package called Office package. Whatever we do, we are not able to make the people use more than 7 to 9% of the features of these packages. They do a lot of things. This was the trouble with many application software. Later on, we started talking about an idea called grid computing, and then software as a service in the case of cloud computing. This is more true with the kind of software which Madam has been nicely introducing, saying that the software will do this, the software will do this, the software will do this. How many of the users, including the students, would go more than 3 to 4% of the features is a big question mark. Now, what we did in the world of grid computing is we first addressed the hardware. We bought some great machines. Because she's talking about a great software, we need a great machine. We need a very big infrastructure installed, shared. All those ideas were in the world of grid. We said there's a lot of machinery that is available. It is just that you have to find out where the time of this machine is, find out how much it will cost, and share it. The earlier avatars of cloud computing, if you permit me to say that those are all different subjects, conceptually, the earlier avatar is a grid avatar. Cloud said even in software there is the same case. You have truckload of features. All that you need is only 3% of it. Why do you want to buy the truckload of features? Cloud became suddenly attractive. The service-oriented architecture was there. So what we are trying to do is, we are all pushing everything into the cloud. And where is the cloud management coming, and how secure is the cloud? What is the guarantee that the University of North Carolina case cannot get jumbled up more normally in the clouds and none of us will know? So where is that attestation coming in from? So we go back to the traditional model, where we say that there is an institution that is standing for 7 years. One generation of students, as we reckon, is 7 years. 4 years of formal course plus 3 years of how they do progress as an institution. We say next one more batch of 3 years we are able to manage. So that's the way we build a repeatability of whatever we have been doing. So let's say 7 years is the time where the institution is standing. That's a great assurance which the society has. So if there is, what is say, a garage which is managing an ME program or a HR program, and don't please, this is not, no offense meant in this. We can possibly do it from a garage. Which one would you prefer? We can do it from a garage. I can give some machine, monstrous machine, and we can still manage the connectivity. But which one would you prefer? A brick and mortar institution standing for 7 years, or a garage standing for 7 years? And it's traceable in the cloud. Your call. Let's take a poll or any quick comments. We have very seasoned teachers and industry professionals here. So that is where the call has to be taken. The ideas are there, the digital transformation is there, but where is the longevity coming from? But where is the durability for the certification? Where is the assurance coming from? That is where we have to challenge ourselves. Otherwise, we keep on going through the same, whichever be the software, whether it is, we call it by different names. You know, of late, the government of Tamil Nadu has popularized proctoring software, called it proctoring software. Madam will have to enlighten me on what exactly is it proctoring in a managerial concern. I have not really understood it till today, but it's called proctoring software. So many features are there. How much ever training we give, how much ever we want them to go through the trial runs, just the bare minimal thing is possible. And they'll keep using that same bare minimal thing. And each time we look at the software, we tell the same. In many cases, I am also defeating what I have been proposing also, saying that we should have the correct software, we should have the correct hardware to teach a simple course. But where are we drawing a line? How do we manage that? Huge piece of infrastructure is necessary for that. Proctoring is for the examinations, exclusively for the online examinations. So we are quite contented in academics to mark utilization as this laboratory is open from 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock. Every hour it is occupied. This laboratory has 100 machines. Every hour which you are looking at least 60% is occupied. That's utilization for us. And if it is happening like that, it's great. So now we will shift the entire scene again. Again, you know, Mr. Rajaram is a good friend of mine. He wanted me to put up some perspectives and just think about it. Let's have this dialogue open. Think about it. Then comes the next question. Our context is different. We are happy to work with in a collaborative mode. Right now, I have a case. One of my old students, Ganeshan Narayansamy, he is working on open power. It's an open consortium. In my younger days, I was quite actively associated with the open source. Even now, I subscribe wholeheartedly to that idea. We have been sharing and growing. We should stick to that paradigm is the idea. So we will give you the machines. They are all there. Unused machine time, much like the grid computing, is there. You don't have to purchase. Our own offices have those machines. You will have your students connect and do it. You don't have to own up. Then where is the intellectual property owned? Our rules and regulations are very clear. If an XYZ organization is paying, they are accountable for what I am doing, not my organization. I go to so many meetings. The person who gives the sitting fee is accounting for me. The organization that is giving me the sitting fee, even if it is 1 rupee, they are accounting. So the work done is localized there. That is necessary. And when we are talking about teaching, we are building teaching, we are building research, we are building thesis. So there's no single answer, but we are saying that we need to be very conscious about positioning these exercises which we are doing online.
Professor Gopal, in the meanwhile, there's a question that has come up to Dr. Nithya from Dr. Sharad. So the subject, when he was talking about digital, how digital can help in teaching, HR, marketing management, and those kind of subjects, how helpful, what are the new practices you have come up with?
Yes, sir. So it was mentioned that management subjects like HR, marketing management, languages, all that. See, actually, these are theory and basic fundamental concepts which we need to impart as a basic concept only. But then using of technology here is, we have many illustrations that we can pick it from the student as such, or we can have it as a flipped classroom, or engaging the student in the due classroom itself would be a successful beginning for teaching learning process as such. So we use Mentimeter, so that we throw a question on trait, student will give a lot of answers there. It forms a word cloud. In that, for a particular trait, the majority characteristics would be popping up on the screen. So these are the supportive technology methodology that we can use to engage a student to understand their perception of what we are teaching. So we can have a testing factor. Is he coming with what I'm intending to understand? So we can have a supporting mechanism for the basic theory concept that would first and foremost thing engage the student with us, which is very important for the learning. And second one, we can assess what he has learned or what he has perceived from our teaching. So their technology would be a supporting factor for the teacher. Hope I've answered the question, Dr. Sharad.
Yeah, one thing we are curious to know is these kind of Mentimeter or AHA slides. These kind of things, are they supplements which can maybe contribute 25%, and they are not effective 100% replacement to your classroom session?
Yes, sir. I completely agree. It is not at all 100%. As I told you, student engagement matters. If he is with me, I will make him learn, or he would listen to me. The problem is he just stays away or mentally. So when we engage them, that is a 50% success to impart the knowledge.
Correct.
And second part lies in talking his own language. So it is the connectivity, the student engagement matters in terms of imparting the knowledge. Sir, Gopal sir, hope you would. Sir, you are in mute, sir.
It's a good debate, and I do agree to those debates. Out of sight, out of mind. There is no second opinion about it. The students have 20 things on hand. What the formal education is gifting them with is a capability of concentrating on one topic for 50 minutes.
Yes, sir.
That's a gift. So otherwise, they are all quick, very quick. The next idea is the best idea. We should know how to make them hang on. That's the purpose of HR, and see what best can be done. Well taken. The debate should be on, and I wish that somewhere we find. Let's ask this question: how much of engineering can be taught online. I come from an engineering background. So how much of engineering?
It's a very interesting question. I would say, only 40%.
So if you can elaborate, there's nothing like it. Mr. Rajaram is very much into the exercise, and we are looking for more dicey SPICON now. That's what I sense. So
Yeah, even Dr. Sharad Kulkarni is also saying 35%, right?
that's how it is. So what do we do with that 60%? 35%, 40%, 35% is a good, we barely make it. Engineering is more that skill that has to be imbibed through field.
True.
See, it has gone slightly humorous to the extent that this batch of students who are passing out are going to be branded, hey, this is a 2020 pass out, 2021 pass out.
Yeah, I know.
Kind of thing. So is it going to be effective? Is digital going to be a very effective tool, for continuing operations post-COVID, or is it only a supplementary? It can be used as a supplementary, and right, that is something you two can talk about. If your perspectives. Maybe next.
Well, what we could ensure, thanks to the wonderful societal involvement at all levels, top leadership to the rock bottom of the way in which the education is happening, is that there is no stigma associated with this. We are only trying to make all stakeholders reasonably buoyant in the exercise. Well, there are 2020, 2021 candidates who passed out. Again, what I am hazarding is only a personal opinion. I am not representing my institution in any capacity. I am just a professor in the Department of Computer Science. And my guess is, if it comes to the crunch, they need to take examinations. All education institutions should develop for written examination, valuations, or neck-breaking speed, and make up for recrediting. I don't know what are the implications, but your opinion about that idea. It's not discrediting, it's recrediting. Where the cases are to be found out, just go through the process, because the industry says, how does it matter to me? I am spending 15 minutes and I like this guy. I know he will do the job. He's in with me, that's all. It's my choice, my decision. You people are padding him up nicely so that they're taken care for the next 3 years, 4 years. But my choice is based on what I think that this guy or girl can do for me. If they are not up to the mark, they are not up to the mark. That is my decision. Nobody can intervene in that. That can happen even now. So we are not talking about that kind of a stage. We are simply arguing for argument's sake that maybe recrediting is a good idea. We simply call it recrediting. So proactively we'll say recrediting. Your opinion, madam. They have to simply come up for the exams.
Final thoughts, Dr. Nithya.
Yes, sir. From my personal view, definitely it cannot be a replacement for teaching learning. Definitely it cannot be, but it would be supplementing. And as per the nature of the student, it would give more plethora of opportunities for a student who are matured and who have the stability of cultural and the maturity to handle and understand the opportunities of going digital and understanding the opportunities, I would say always. Because when I was studying, books and library were the only source to my understanding. And then to above all, it was internet. But then now I can be a HR plus I can be a data scientist. So it is not, I should be focused on only one domain. So it is all about the behavioral cognitive ability of a student and the cultural behavior of the student, which would make the digital transformation in academia successful, because it is more of service. So we, as sir told, we cannot have a common scale for everyone in the class. So it is more a service orientation. So definitely equal responsibility lies in the hand of teacher.
Very good.
So this is what my purview.
Excellent, excellent. I think really your perspectives are very interesting. So I would request Srinivasan to play the, to give the vote of thanks and close the session. Over to you, Srini.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So thank you, Dr. Gopal and Dr. Nithya for anchoring this, 2 hours of session, which was full of insights. And the couple of hours seemed like, was full of insights on all of these digital transformation maturity, which happened to be the prelude talk for our SPICON 2021, which is happening on 24th September this month. So we urge all the delegates and participants to register in the link, which is posted in the chat box. And a big thanks to all the delegates who took the time on a Saturday evening to be part of this beautiful occasion. Thank you all, and thanks Dr. Rajaram for beautifully anchoring this session as well. Thank you, doctors, and thank you all for being part of the session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Hoping to see all of you at SPICON.
Definitely, sir.
Please encourage your students also to register, and it is free. This time we have kept it free. There are also exhibition stalls available. So Sona College or Anna University or any of your incubatee or your known associates would like to take a digital stall. It is available in our exhibition. Very, very nominal fee of 7,500 rupees for a stall. The return, ROI on this investment could be very huge, 10x, 20x, right? So I would encourage everyone to participate and take advantage of this wonderful opportunity. Thanks.
Sure, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gopal.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rajaram, Raghavendra Prasad. I see good friends of mine. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ramula, thank you very much.
Good night.
Thank you. Thanks to all. Bye-bye.
Bye, sir.